शुक्लांबरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। अगजानन पद्मार्कं गजाननमहर्निशम् अनेकदन्तं भक्तानाम् एकदन्तमुपास्महे। श्रीमहागणपतये नमः। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां विषजे भवरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। ज्ञानानन्दमयं देवं निर्मलस्फटिकाकृतिम् आधारं सर्वविद्यानां श्रीहयग्रीवमुपास्महे। श्रीहयग्रीवमूर्तये नमः। सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। श्रीमहासरस्वत्यै नमः। उमाकोमलहस्ताब्जसम्भावितललाटकं हिरण्यकुण्डलं वन्दे कुमारं पुष्करस्रजं। வெற்றிவேல் முருகனுக்கு ஹரஹரோஹரா. லோகவீரியம் மகாபூஜ்யம் சர்வரக்ஷாகரம் விபும் பார்வதி ஹிருதயானந்தம் சாஸ்தாரம் பிரணமாம்யஹம். சுவாமியே சரணமையப்பா. வாகர்த்தாவிவ சம்பிருக்தௌ வாகர்த்த பிரதிபத்தயே जगदः पितरौ वन्दे पार्वती परमेश्वरौ। श्री पार्वती परमेश्वराभ्यां नमः। कोमलं कूजयन् वेणुं श्यामलोऽयं कुमारकः वेदवेद्यं परब्रह्मा तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। पीताम्बरं करविराजितचक्रशङ्खकौमोदकी सरसिजं करुणासमुद्रं राधासहायम् अतिसुन्दरमन्दहासं वातालयेशम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि। कृष्णो रक्षतु मां चराचर गुरुः कृष्णं नमस्ये सदा। कृष्णेनैव सुरक्षितो हमसकृते कृष्ण I lost my track. कृष्णो रक्षतु मां चराचर गुरुः कृष्णं नमस्ये सदा। कृष्णेनैव सुरक्षितोऽहमसकृत् कृष्णाय दत्तं मनः। कृष्णादेव समुद्भवो मम विभो कृष्णस्य दासोऽस्म्यहं। कृष्णे भक्तिरचञ्चलास्तु भगवन् हे कृष्ण तुभ्यं नमः। श्रीगुरुवायूरप्पा शरणं नम्राणां सन्निधत्ते सततमपि पुरस्तैरणभ्यर्थितानपि अर्थान् कामानजस्रं वितरति परमानन्दसान्द्रां गतिं च। इत्थं निःशेषलभ्यो निरवधिकफलः पारिजातो हरे त्वं क्षुद्रं तं शक्रवाटी ध्रुममभिलषति व्यर्थमर्त्यव्रजोऽयं। श्रीगुरुवायूरप्पा शरणं श्रीभट्टपादम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि। वंशी विभूषितकरात् नवनीरदाभात् पीताम्बरात् अरुणबिम्बफलादरोष्टात् पूर्णेन्दुसुन्दरमुखात् अरविन्दनेत्रात् कृष्णात् परं किमपि तत्त्वमहं न जाने। കൈരണ്ടും കൂപ്പി ഞാൻ വീണ്ടും ഇറക്കുന്നു നീരജലോചന നിന്നോടായി. ഏതീനു മഞ്ഞനെ കുമ്പിടേണ്ടാത്തോരു പ്രീതിയിൽ നീ എന്നെ പാലിക്കെന്നായി. കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ. Good morning everyone. Yeah, so we'll do a quick review of it. Mating நீங்க பண்றீங்களா இன்னைக்கு?
ஓம் கிருஷ்ணாய பரபிரம்மணே நமः. ஏவம் தாவத் ப்ராக்ருத பிரக்ஷயந்தே ब्राह्मणे कल्पे हयादिमे लब्धजन्मा ब्रह्मा भूयस्तावत् एवाप्य वेदान् सृष्टिं चक्रे पूर्वकल्पोपमानाम् सोऽयं
the tune, if you want to try that.
ஆமா அத தப்பா சொல்றேனே சொல்லுங்க அது
So next stanza, soyam chatur yuga sahas.
Okay. सोऽयं चतुर्युगसहस्रं मिथान्यहानि तावन्मिथाश्च रजनीर्बहुशो निनाया निद्रात्यसौ त्वयि निलीय समं स्वसृष्टैः नैमित्तिकप्रलयम् आशुरतोऽस्य रात्रिम् अस्मादृष्टा पुनरहर्मुख्यकृत्य तुल्यं दृष्टिं करोत्यनुदिनं स भवत्प्रसादात् प्राग्ब्राह्म कल्पजनुषां च प्रयाशुषां तु सुप्तप्रबोधनसमास्ति तदापि सृष्टिः
Third line end parayusham tu.
परायुषां तु करेक्टா சொல்லணும் पंचाशत् शदब्दं धामधुनास्वयूद्ररूपम् एकं परार्धमतिवृत्य हि वर्तते सौ त्रतान्तय रात्रिजनितान् कथायामि भूमन् पंचाशद्दिनावतरेण च भवद्विलासान्
Fourth line, first word, paschad dinavatarani.
पश्चात् दिना अदन् पश्चात् दिनावतरेण च भवद्विलासान् दिनावसाने त सरोजयोनिः शुषुप्तिकामस्त्वयि सन्निलिल्ये जगन्ते च त्वज्जठरां समीयुः तदीयम् एकार्णवमास विश्वम् तथैव वेशे पनिराजिशेषे जलैकशेषे भुवने स्मशेषे आनन्दसान्द्रानुभवस्वरूपः स्वयोगनिद्रा परिमुद्रितात्मा कालाख्यशक्तिं प्रलयावसाने प्रबोधयत्यादिशतकिलाधौ त्वया प्रसुप्तं परिसुप्तशक्तिव्रजेन तत्र किल जीवदाम्ना चतुर्युगानां सहस्रमेवं त्वयि प्रसुप्ते पुनरद्वितीये कलाख्यशक्तिः प्रथम प्रबुद्धा पराबोध्य यत्त्वां किल विश्वनाथा.
The third line, first word, kalakya.
Kalakya
kalakya. Fourth line, first word, prabodhayatva.
Kalakya shakti prathama prabuddha prabodhyatvam kila vishwanatha vibudhya chatvam jalagarbha shayin vilokya loka akilan pralinan teshveva shukshmat mataya nijatas stiteshu vishveshu तदाद दृष्टिं तातस्त्वयि त्वदीयदयि नाभिरन्ध्रात् उदञ्चितं किञ्चन दिव्यपद्मं निलीननिःशेषपदार्थमाला संक्षेप्य रूपं मुकुलायमानम् तदं बुरूह कुडुमलं ते कलेबरातो यपते प्ररोदं बहिर्निरीतं स्फुरद्भिः स्वदामभिर्द्वान्ताम् अलं निकृन्तन् सम्पुल्लपत्रे नितरां विचित्रे तस्मिन् भवत् वीर्यधृते सरोजे सपद्मजन्मा विधिरा विरासीत् स्वयं प्रबुद्धाखिल वेद राशिः अस्मिन् परात्मन् ननु पद्मकल्पे त्वमित्तम् उत्तापित पद्मयोनिः अनंत भूमा मम योग राशिं निरुन्धि वातालये वास विष्णु. Shri Krishna Parabrahmane.
And the first line, last word, Padmakalpe. Okay.
Padma.
Okay. Yeah. Right. So let's see. So Dasakam 9. I think we've finished up to 3 stanzas, right? So we'll continue from the fourth one. So Ram, you can be a student, and Vasantagar, you can be a student. So stanza 4. Tatas sakalanalika vivaramarga gomargayenhe prayasya shatavatsaram kimapi naiva sandrishtavan nivritya kamalodhare sukanishanna ekagradhihi samadhi balamadade bhavadanugrahaikagrahi. So kind of where we had left on this, right? So we said in the previous class, we saw about the timeline of Brahma, right? What each Brahma day is, and what the current Brahma is, and where it is, where we are in the timeline, and all of that stuff. And then, but said, okay, I'm now going to talk about what happened in the night of the last day of the 50th year of Brahma, and what then happens in the morning of the first day of the 51st year of Brahma, which is the current Kalpa that we are in, which is Shvetavaraha Kalpa. So that was a transition period that we were actually talking about. And in that transition period, it talked about how, from the Nabhi of the Lord, in this entire Brahma's life, the Brahma is always going to come from the lotus, which is going to come from the Nabhi of the Lord. In previous Brahmas, it has come from other things, but here anyway, it came from the Nabhi. And then the Brahma comes, and the Brahma, when he comes, this is his day, right? And when he comes, he again looks around, and then he says there's nothing in existence, because again, remember, all of these worlds, everything merges into the Lord at the end of the Brahma's day, right? So that is what is happening, and he's then wondering what happens, and then he sees this lotus kind of a pond, and then he says, if I'm sitting on something, that something must have come from somewhere else. There should be some source from which it must have come, and there should be something connecting the place where I'm sitting to the source, right? So what he does is, Brahma then continues to go looking for the source, right? And when he starts looking for the source, he keeps going down, because if you remember, like I explained to you, you have to imagine the Garbhodakashayi Vishnu lying horizontal. Then from his Nabhi, you have to imagine a lotus kind of structure coming, which is the whole Brahmandam. And Brahma is sitting at the top in the Satyaloka. So from there, he has to traverse through all the 14 worlds if he has to get to the source, right? So Brahma is traversing now, right? Is coming down through the various regions. And what it says is, everybody, when we are going and doing something, at some point we give up, right? And this Brahma also, at some point, he gives up, because he says, I've been traversing all this time, so many years are passing by, but I'm not able to find. So he's getting a little bit panicky and afraid, right? And so what he does is he again comes back, and then this Ekagradihi, with a single source, with a single focus, he says, I'm just going to meditate on the Lord again to see if I can then find the source of it, right? So that's what he's not able to find the Lord, because he's not ready yet. So then he comes back and he starts meditation again. So tataha putta is tatas sakala nalika vivara margago margayenne, comma, prayasya shatavatsaram, comma, kimapi naiva sandrishtavan. Tatas sakala nalika vivara margago margayenne prayasya shatavatsaram kimapi naiva sandrishtavan.
Tatas sakala nalika vivara margago margayanne prayasya shatavatsaram kimapi naiva samdrishtavan. ततः सकलनालिका विवरमार्गगो मार्गयन् प्रयस्य शतवत्सरं किमपि नैव सन्दृष्टवान्
ततः सकलनालिका विवरमार्गगो मार्गयन् प्रयस्य शतवत्सरं किमपि नैव सन्दृष्टवान् ततः सकलनालिका विवरमार्गगो मार्गयन् प्रयस्य शतवत्सरं किमपि नैव सन्दृष्टवान्
निवृत्य कमलोदरे सुख निषण्ण एकाग्रदीः समाधि बलमादधे भवत् अनुग्रहैकाग्रही. Nivritya, I think we should do this as 4 line, else the tune might go off. Nivritya kamalodhare sukha nishanna ekagradihi samadhi balamadadhe bhavadanugrahaikagrahi.
निवृत्य कमलोदरे सुखनिषण्ण एकाग्रधीः समाधिबलमाधदे भवदनुग्रहैकाग्रही निवृत्य कमलोदरे सुखनिषण्ण एकाग्रधीः समाधिबलमाधदे भवदनुग्रहैकाग्रही
निवृत्तकमलोदरे सुखनिषण्ण एकाग्रधीः समाधिबलमादधे भवदनुग्रहैकाग्रही निवृत्य कमलोदरे सुखनिषण्ण एकाग्रधीः समाधिबलमादधे भवदनुग्रहैकाग्रही.
शतेन परिवत्सरैः दृढसमाधिबन्धोल्लसत् प्रबोध विशदीकृतः स खलु पद्मिनी सम्भवः अदृष्टचरमद्भुतं तव हि रूपमन्तर्दृशा व्यचष्ट परितुष्टधीर्भुजगभोगभागाश्रयम्. So like Brahma does what he always does best, which is when he doesn't know an answer, he then goes into meditation. So he does that for a really long time. And after he meditates for a long time, again, the knowledge now automatically dawns on him, right? So, like, I think that's what I keep comparing the first Brahma, the first day of the Brahma when he's coming versus this Brahma, which is a new day for him. So here, he's already now, the Lord doesn't have to, he's already now born with the Vedas, except that he's not able to implement it, right? So he's thinking after meditation, finally the knowledge dawns on him. And for now, he's seeing the first day, Brahma saw Vaikuntham. If you remember in the 5th Dasakam, we said how he's able to see Vaikuntham, which is so many million yojanas away. And then we zoomed in and he saw who all were there and all of this stuff. This time, Brahma is seeing your form, O Lord, who's lying on Adishesha. So Bhujaga Bhoga Bhagashrayam, the form of you which is lying on Adishesha, right? Because like I said, the Garbhodaka Shai Vishnu is lying at the bottom. You imagine it that way in the reclining position from which the lotus is coming, right? So that's the form that Brahma is going to see or is beginning to see. Shatena Parivatsaraihi. So put a Visarga and comma there. Next line, Dhrida, the ir is there that goes away. Dhrida Samadhi Bandholasat, put a plus, Prabodha Vishadikritaha, and then a comma. So one comma after Parivatsaraihi, another comma after Vishadikritaha. Sa Khalu Padmini Sambhavaha. Adrishta Charam Adbhutam, comma, Tavahi Rupam Antardrisha, and then put a plus. Antardrisha means he's seeing it inside. He's not physically seeing it outside. He's seeing it in his mind, this form of the Lord. Rupam Antardrisha, put a plus. Vyachashta Paritushthadir Bhujaga Bhoga Bhagashrayam. Shatena Parivatsaraihi Dhrida Samadhi Bandholasat Prabodha Vishadikritaha Sakhalu Padmini Sambhavaha Adrishta Charamadbhutam Tavahi Rupamantardrisha Vyachashta Paritushtadhir Bhujaga Bhoga Bhagashrayam.
शतेन परिवत्सरैः दृढसमाधिबन्धोल्लसत् प्रबोधविशदीकृतः स खलु पद्मिनी सम्भवः अदृष्टचरमद्भुतं तव हि रूपमन्तर्दृशा व्यचष्ट परितुष्टधीर्भुजगभोगभागाश्रयम्. शतेन परिवत्सरैः दृढसमाधिबन्धोल्लसत्प्रबोधविशदीकृतः स खलु पद्मिनी सम्भवः अदृष्टचरमद्भुतं तव हि रूपमन्तर्दृशा व्यचष्ट परितुष्टधीर्भुजगभोगभागाश्रयम्
शतेन परिवत्सरैः दृढसमाधिबन्धोल्लसत्प्रबोधविशदीकृतः स खलु पद्मिनी सम्भवः अदृष्टचरमद्भुतं तव हि रूपमन्तर्दृशा व्यचष्टपरितुष्टधीर्भुजगभोगभागाश्रयम् शतेन परिवत्सरैः दृढसमाधिबन्धोल्लसत्प्रबोधविशदीकृतः स खलु पद्मिनी सम्भवः अदृष्टचरमद्भुतं तव हि रूपमन्तर्दृशा व्यचष्टपरितुष्टधीर्भुजगभोगभागाश्रयम्.
Stanza 6. किरीटमकुटोल्लसत् कटकहारकीयूरयुं मणिस्फुरितमेखलं सुपरिवीतपीताम्बरं कलाय कुसुमप्रभं गलतलोलसत्कौस्तुभं वपुस्तदैभावये कमलजन्मने दर्शितं. So Kamala the one who's born out of the lotus, which is referring to Brahma. So the form that Brahma sees, on that Vapus, I'm on that form of yours, Tadai Bhave, I'm meditating. And again, it goes about like it's natural from this. So he's seeing the form of the Lord, which is who is lying on Adishesha, who is having a crown which is actually shining, which is brilliantly, like brilliantly shining crown. The body of the Lord is also blue in color, like the Kalaya, like the blue lily flowers. And then he's having the Kaustuba form around his neck, and he has the appropriate ornaments and bracelets and everything with, with the Pitambara. So the same form he sees, but the difference is this is the form of the Lord, who's lying in Adishesha, which is the Garbhodaka Shai Vishnu, which is who's creating this Brahmanda. This is different from the form of the Lord which he sees in Vaikuntham, because that is again different. So you have to kind of, that is the Vaikuntham is one place which is outside of this Brahmandam, right? Like we spoke about. And for every of this Brahmandam that exists, there is one Vishnu who is managing that universe. Think of it that way. And that is the Vishnu that Brahma is seeing, right? So Kirita Makutolla Sate, put a comma, Kataka Hara Keyura Yung, ing sound, Yung, and put a plus, Mani Spurita Mekalam, comma, Suparivita Pitambaram, Kalaya Kusuma Prabham, comma, Gala Thalolasat Kaustubham, comma, Vapus Tadai Bhavaye, comma, Kamala Janmane Darshitam. Kirita Makutolasate Katakaharakiyu Manispurita Mekalam Suparivita Pitambaram Kalaya Kusuma Prabham Galatalolasat Kaustubham Vapustadai Bhavaye Kamala Janmane Darshitam.
किरीटमकुटोल्लसत् कटकहारकेयूरयुङ्मणिस्फुरितमेखलं सुपरिवीतपीताम्बरं कलाय कुसुमप्रभं गलतलोल्लसत्कौस्तुभं वपुस्तदैभावये कमलजन्मने दर्शितम् किरीटमकुटोल्लसत् कटकहारकेयूरयुग्मनिस्फुरितमेखलं सुपरिवीतपीताम्बरं कलाय कुसुमप्रभं गलतलोल्लसत्कौस्तुभं वपुस्तदैभावये कमलजन्मने दर्शितम्
किरीटमकुटोल्लसत् कटकहारकेयूरयुन्मणित किरीटमकुटोल्लसत् कटकहारकेयूरयुन्मणिस्फुरितमेखलं सुपरिवीतपीताम्बरं कलाय कुसुमप्रभं गलतलोल्लसत्कौस्तुभं वपुस्तदैभावये कमलजन्मने दर्शितम् किरीटमकुटोल्लसत् कटकहारकेयूरयुन्मणिस्फुरितमेखलं सुपरिवीतपीताम्बरं कलाय कुसुमप्रभं गलतलोल्लसत्कौस्तुभं वपुस्तदै भावये कमलजन्मने दर्शितम्.
Stanza 7. Shruti Prakaradarshita Prachura Vaibhava Shripate Hare Jaya Jaya Prabho Padamupaishi Dishtya Drishoho Kurushva Dhiyamashu Me Bhuvana Nirmitau Karmatam Iti Druhina Varnita Swaguna Bhamhima Pahimam. So Brahma does a very great stuti to the Lord when he sees his Lord. So, he says that, so when he's seeing this Lord lying on Adishesha, he's also now beginning to see that the source of this entire creation that has happened, this Brahmandam, on top of which Brahma is sitting, has come from the Nabhi of the Lord. He's able to see that, because which he was not able to see when he tried to traverse through, right? But now sitting where there's his own place, meditating, he was able to see that. And then he saw how that was the source and how he has also come from the source. And then he's also able to visualize how this Lord is the ultimate creator. Again, this happens, I don't know if it happens every day of Brahma, right? Because all this says is, this is what is happening on the 51st year, first day. So we kind of have to assume that some of these things repeat every time, but we don't know that, right? So anyway, so he's able to see the source of it. And then he's praying to the Lord. He's saying, O Shripate, but the one who's, Lakshmi's husband, and one who is the protector of the world, one who is the creator of the universe. He does a very great stuti. And he says, now I have come to understand what happened, right? He says, all of these things went back into you, and now they're all going to come out. So he's realizing what happened the previous night. Like sometimes when you go to sleep, you forget what happened the previous night. That's what is happening. I'm recollecting now, right? I know what happened last night. I know what is to be done now. So he says, please bless me, please protect me, so I can actually go forward, right, with the act of creation. Shruti Prakara Darshita Prachura Vaibhava Shripate, Hare Jaya Jaya Prabho, Padamupaishi Dishtya Drishoho Kurushva Dhiyamashu Me, Bhuvana Nirmitau Karmatam, put a im and a comma. Next line, the me that you have becomes a e. Iti Druhina Varnita Swaguna Bamhima Pahima. Shruti Prakara Darshita Prachura Vaibhava Shripate Hare Jaya Jaya Prabho Padamupaishi Dishtya Drishoho Kurushva Dhiyamashu Me Bhuvana Nirmitau Karmatam Iti Druhina Varnita Swaguna Bamhima Pahimam.
Shruti Prakaradarshita Prachura Vaibhava Shripate Hare Jaya Jaya Prabho Padamupai Shidishtya Drushoho Kurushva Dhiyamashu Me Bhuvana Nirmitau Karmatam Iti Druhina Varnita Swaguna Bamhima Pahimam. Shruti Prakaradarshita Prachura Vaibhava Shripate Hare Jaya Jaya Prabho Padamupaishi Dishtya Drushoho Kurushva Dhiyamashu Me Bhuvana Nirmitau Karmatam Iti Druhina Varnita Swaguna Bamhima Pahimam.
The second line after Jaya Jaya Prabho, there is a comma, okay?
Shruti Prakara Darshita Prachura Vaibhava Shripate Hare Jaya Jaya Prabho Padamupaishi Dishtya Drishoho Kurushva Dhiyamasu Me Bhuvana Nirmitau Karmatam Iti Druhina Varnita Swaguna Bamhima Pahimam. Shruti Prakara Darshita Prachura Vaibhava Shripate Hare Jaya Jaya Prabho Padamupaishi Dishtya Drushoho Kurushva Dhiyamasu Me Bhuvana Nirmitau Karmatam Iti Druhina Varnita Swaguna Bamhima Pahimam.
That's it. Labaswa Bhuvanatrahi Rachana Dakshatam Akshatam Grihana Madanugraham Kurutapascha Bhuyo Vidhe Bhavatvakila Sadhani Maicha Bhaktirat Yutkatet Yudirya Girama Dadha Mudita Cheta Samvedasam. So the Lord then, Narayanan tells Brahma that you have my blessings, right? So you will have this capability through this kalpa, this particular day of yours, to be able to create the world in the right way, right? Following the right protocols and everything, you'll be able to create. So and then of course, may your devotion to me continue to go up, right? But he also says at the same time, he says you continue to do more meditation, right? He says I want you to meditate more so you get the enough jnana shakti to be able to create or do your work for today, right? Labhasva bhuvanatrayi, which is the three worlds, right? Form the three worlds. Rachana dakshatam akshatam, comma, grihana madanugraham, comma, kuru tapascha bhuyo vidhe, bhavat vakila sadhani, long e, comma, mai cha, then put a plus at the end of the third line. So bhaktirat yutkatet yudhirya. So that combine that. So bhaktirat yutkatet yudhirya giramadadhaha. Put a visarga, you may not have it. Put a visarga and a comma there. Giramadadaha mudita chetasam vedasam. Labhasva bhuvanatrahi rachana dakshatam akshatam grihana madanugraham kurutapascha bhuyo vidhe bhavat vakila sadhani maicha bhaktirat yutkatet yudhirya giramadadhaha mudita chetasam vedasam.
लभस्व भुवनत्रयी रचन दक्षतामक्षतां गृहानमदनुग्रहं कुरु तपश्च भूयो विधे भवद्वकिल साधनी मयि च भक्तिरत्युत्कटेत्युदीर्य गिरमादधाः मुदितचेतसंवेधसं लभस्व भुवनत्रयी रचन दक्षतामक्षतां गृहानमदनुग्रहं कुरु तपश्च भूयो विधे भवद्वकिल साधनी मयि च भक्तिरत्युत्कटेत्युदीर्य गिरमादधाः मुदितचेतसंवेधसम्
लभस्व भुवनत्रयी रचन दक्षतामक्षतां गृहाणमदनुग्रहं कुरु तपश्च भूयो विधे भवत्वखिल साधने मयि च भक्तिरत्युत्कटेत्युदीर्य गिरमादधाः मुदितचेतसंवेधसम् लभस्व भुवनत्रयी रचन दक्षतामक्षतां गृहाणमदनुग्रहं कुरु तपश्च भूयो विधे भवत्वखिल साधने मयि च भक्तिरत्युत्कटेत्युदीर्य गिरमादधाः मुदितचेतसं वेधसम्
Ratam kritatapastataha sakhalu divya samvatsarane avapya cha tapobalam matibalam cha purvadhikam udiksha kilakampitam payasi pankajam vayuna bhavadbala vijrumbhitaha pavanaphatasi pitavan. So I'll say 9 and 10 meaning together. So once Brahma gives the instruction, so he again goes into meditation, because of which he attains more spiritual and mental powers to be able to go continue or start the process of creation for this kalpa. And then it talks about, in the first time we spoke about how when the Brahmandam was there, the Lord himself went in and then he broke it into the 14 worlds, which we saw as the Virat form of the Lord, right? So here, that was the first time that was happening. So here, because it has happened several times and it is the day of the Brahma, and all of them had actually merged into the Lord and then come out in the form of a bud, these things already exist, right, in its core form. So the simplest explanation, the way they explain is, Brahma already had like the seedlings that he has to just scatter everywhere and then appropriate things start coming, right? So he already had all the ingredients for all of the 14 worlds to form and all of the beings to form. So in this, it wraps up by saying this, by this, you already had all the material because it was all in the Lord's Nabi, which came out to you. So you were able to then form all the worlds. And then the actual process of creation is going to happen in the next Dasakam. So he says, with that, you start the process of creation. So, oh Lord of Guruvayur, that comes in the next one. Please bless me and eradicate all my ailments. Shatam kritata pastataha, comma, sa khalu divya samvatsarane. Put a in at the end of that line. Next time the na becomes a avapya cha tapobalam, comma, matibalam cha purvadhikam udikshya kila kampitam, payasi pankajam vayuna, bhavat bala vijrumbhitaha, pavana pathasi pitavan. Shatam kritatapastataha sakhalu divya samvatsarane avapya chatapo balam matibalam cha purvadhikam udikshya kila kampitam payasi pankajam vayuna bhavat bala vijrumbhitaha pavanapatasi pitavan.
शतं कृततपास्ततः स खलु दिव्यसंवत्सरान् अवाप्य च तपोबलं मतिबलं च पूर्वाधिकम् उदीक्ष्य किल कम्पितं पयसि पङ्कजं वायुना भवद्बलविजृम्भितः पवनपातसी पीतवान् शतं कृततपास्ततः स खलु दिव्यसंवत्सरान् अवाप्य च तपोबलं मतिबलं च पूर्वाधिकम् उदीक्ष्य किल कम्पितं पयसि पङ्कजं वायुना भवद्बलविजृम्भितः पवनपातसी पीतवान्
शतं कृततपास्ततः स खलु दिव्यसंवत्सरान् अवाप्य च तपोबलं मतिबलं च पूर्वाधिकम् उदीक्ष्य किल कम्पितं पयसि पङ्कजं वायुना भवद्फलविजृम्भितः पवनपाथसि पीतवान् शतं कृततपास्ततः स खलु दिव्यसंवत्सरान् अवाप्य च तपोबलं मतिबलं च पूर्वाधिकम् उदीक्ष्य किल कम्पितं पयसि पङ्कजं वायुना भवद्फलविजृम्भितः पवनपाथसि पीतवान्.
Tavaiva kripaya punaha, that is there, remove it, put a visarga comma. Sarasijena tenaiva saha, prakalpya bhuvanatrayim, pravavrite praja nirmitau, tata vida kripabaro, guru marut puradhishwara, tvamashu paripahimam, guru dayokshitair ikshitaihi. So Tavaiva Kripaya, because of your grace alone, this Sarasijena, this Brahma, was then began the process of creation. And then says, O Lord of Guruvayu, who is full of compassion, please eradicate all my ailments. Tavaiva Kripaya Punaha Sarasijena Tenaiva Saha Prakalpya Bhuvanatrahim Pravavrite Praja Nirmitau Tata Vida Kripa Bharo Guru Marut Puradhishwara Tvamashu Paripahimam Gurudayokshitair ikshitaihi.
तवैव कृपया पुनः सरसिजेन तेनैव सह प्रकल्प्य भुवनत्रयीं प्रववृते प्रजानिर्मितौ तथाविध कृपाभरो गुरुमरुत्पुराधीश्वर त्वमाशु परिपाहि मां गुरुदयोक्षितैरीक्षितैः तवैव कृपया पुनः सरसिजेन तेनैव सह प्रकल्प्य भुवनत्रयीं प्रववृते प्रजानिर्मितौ तथाविध कृपाभरो गुरुमरुत्पुराधीश्वर त्वमाशु परिपाहि मां गुरुदयोक्षितैरीक्षितैः
तवैव कृपया पुनः सरसिजेन तेनैव सह प्रकल्प्य भुवनत्रयीं प्रवृते प्रजानिर्मितौ तथाविध कृपाभरो गुरुर्मरुत्पुराधीश्वर त्वमाशु परिपाहि मां गुरुदयोक्षितैरीक्षितैः तवैव कृपया पुनः सरसिजेन तेनैव सह प्रकल्प्य भुवनत्रयीं प्रवृते प्रजानिर्मितौ तथाविध कृपाभरो गुरुमरुत्पुराधीश्वर त्वमाशु परिपाहि मां गुरुदयोक्षितैरीक्षितैः. कृष्णाय
Brahmane Namaha. Dashakam 10. Srishti Beda Varnanam. So the variety of creation. So now is when the actual people you can relate to start coming, right? Stanza 1. Vaikuntha Vardita Balota Bhavat Prasadhat Ambojayo nirasujat kila jiva dehan stasnuni bhuruhamayani tata tirascham jatim manushya nivahana pideva bedan. So Brahma now, after he has gotten the blessings, he now starts. So he does a lot of, if all of the creation that's going to happen from now on is going to come from Brahma or because of Brahma with the Lord's grace, right? That is how we have to think about it. So nothing exists, right? So when first it says he starts off with the creation of things that don't move. So the vegetation, plants, kind of all of those things that don't move. And then with that, he starts creating. Now, he doesn't actually create any beings yet. That's going to come later. But it talks about this, everything that he creates is always of the increasing complexity. So first he creates basic beings, which, are very foolish or ignorant. They don't know anything. They don't even have vision, right? They just go by a smell. Then there are beings which purely only all they do is just live to eat, right? And that's all they do. They don't have any knowledge, right? And then it goes on increasing complexities. And then you have the humans, and then you have all the other folks who exist in the other worlds, which are the demigods, the Gandharvas, the Yakshas and Rakshas, all of those, everybody gets created. So Brahma essentially creates a whole set of everybody who's going to come from now on is created by Brahma. That's how it starts, but the actual one is going to happen later. So, and essentially what it says is, in the previous night, when everything merged, when all the souls are merged into the Lord, now the souls along with the Brahmandam, if the souls are coming, right? So it all needs a body to get into, right? And there is some continuation that happens, but I don't know the specifics of that. But essentially all these beings get created because they act as a carrier for the souls which were already merged into the Lord, which come out, right? Based on their karmas. So Vaikuntha Vardita Balota Bhavat Prasadat, put the it at the end of that line. Next line, da becomes a. Ambojayo nirasrijat, can't break it. Kila jiva dehan. Stasnuni bhuru hamayani tata tirashcham, and then put a plus. Jatim manushya nivahanapi deva bedan. Vaikuntha vardita balota bhavat prasadat. Ambojayo nirasrijat kila jiva dehan. Stasnuni bhuru hamayani tata tirashcham jatim manushya nivaha napideva bhedan.
Vaikunta balota bhavat prasadat ambhojayo nirasrjat kila jiva dehan stasnuni bhur hamayani tatha tirascham jatir manushya nivahanapi deva bhedan.
Fourth line, first word, jatim, im sound. I think you said jatim.
In the line?
Fourth line, first word, jatim manushya.
Jatim manushya.
Yeah.
Okay. Jatir manushyan. Okay.
Short T, jatim manushya.
Okay. वैकुण्ठवर्धित बलोथ भवत्प्रसादात् अम्भोजयो निरसृजत् किल जीवदेहान् स्तास्नूनि भूर्हमयानि तथा तिरश्चां जातिं मनुष्य निवहानपि देवभेदान्.
कुण्ठवर्धित बलोथ भवत्प्रसादात् अम्भोजयो निरसृजत् किल जीवदेहान् स्तास्नूनि भूरुहमयानि तथा तिरश्चां जातिर्मनुष्य निवहानपि देवभेदान्.
I think same correction. Jatim manushya. Fourth line, first word.
जातिन् मनुष्य.
Okay.
वैकुण्ठवर्धित बलोथ भवत्प्रसादात् अम्भोजयो निरसृजत् किल जीवदेहान् स्तास्नूनि भूरुहमयानि तथा तिरश्चां जातिन् मनुष्य निवहानपि देवभेदान्.
Answer 2. Mityagrahasmi matiraga vikopa bhitihi ajnana vrittimiti pancha vidam sasrishtva uddama tamasa padartha midhana dhunaha Tene tvadiya charana smaranam vishuddhyai. So before the actual entities are created, before humans are created, before animals are created, before all the other gods are created, Brahma has to define the structure or the this framework in which they all have to exist, right? So for example, if you are born, and the moment you are born and you come out of the womb, you realize that I am a soul who is always connected to the Paramatma. The soul doesn't have birth, soul doesn't have death. I'm always part of the Paramatma. Then there's no use for you to live the life, right? Then what will happen? How will you live your life? Because you already know it from the time you're born. So Brahma has to create this fake illusion, right? So he has to define certain characteristics under people, which people have to live. One, which is that ability to forget the true identity of one's person, which is to create that concept of ahankaram or ignorance, right? So you don't, so that way when you're born, if you already know everything, then you're going to be like, I have nothing to do, right? I'm already part of the Paramatma. I'm just going to sit, right? So then there'll be no world, no creation that's going to be there. Everybody has a task that needs to happen. Everybody has to then think about this is something concept of death. So he creates all this illusionary framework into which creation can happen. Before that, he can't create any beings itself. So he first goes and creates all of those framework, which is primarily the sense of illusion that you are different from the Paramatma, that there is something called as a beginning and an end. And then the feeling of I and me and all of that, right? And all of that, my body and all of the concepts of frameworks has to mind, that has to happen. So he first creates it. When he creates it, he feels like, like how we feel in most of our jobs, saying this is such a thankless job. I don't know why I'm doing this job, right? He says, because what I'm actually doing is I'm misleading people, right? By then giving them an illusion. But then it is important to do that, because otherwise the souls cannot be conditioned to live. So he had to do this, but then he's feeling very disappointed that this is not a job I want to do. So again, he then resorts to, again, going back to praying to the Lord, because he thinks it's the right thing to do, but he feels also frustrated that he's going to be creating this illusion, right? Mithya grahasmi mati raga vikopa bhitihi. Put a visarga comma there. Next line, the ra becomes a ajnana. So it's a lack of knowledge. So he has to create that concept of illusion. So ajnana vrittimiti panchavidam sa srishtva uddama tamasa padartha vidhana dunaha. Put a visarga comma. Next line, is goes away. Tene tvadiya charana smaranam vishuddhyai. Mityagrahasmi matiraga vikopa bhitihi ajnana vrittimiti pancha vidham sasrishtva uddama tamasa padartha vidhana dunaha tene tvadiya charana smaranam vishuddhyai.
मिथ्याग्रहास्मि मतिरागविकोपभीतिः अज्ञानवृत्तिमिति पञ्चविधां ससृष्ट्वा उद्धामतामसपदार्थविधानदूनः तेने त्वदीयचरणस्मरणं विशुद्ध्यै मिथ्याग्रहास्मि मतिरागविकोपभीतिः अज्ञानवृत्तिमिति पञ्चविधां ससृष्ट्वा उद्धामतामसपदार्थविधानदूनः तेने त्वदीयचरणस्मरणं विशुद्ध्यै
मिथ्याग्रहास्मि मतिरागविकोपभीतिः अज्ञानवृत्तिमिति पञ्चविधां ससृष्ट्वा उद्दामतामसपदार्थविधानदूनः तेने त्वदीयचरणस्मरणं विशुद्ध्यै मिथ्याग्रहास्मि मतिरागविकोपभीतिः अज्ञानवृत्तिमिति पञ्चविधां ससृष्ट्वा उद्दामतामसपदार्थविधानदूनः तेने त्वदीयचरणस्मरणं विशुद्ध्यै.
All right, we'll switch halfway. Sujata Garu, you can be a student. Minu, you can be a student. Stanza 3. Tavat sasarja manasa sanakam sanandham bhuyas sanatana munim cha sanat kumaram te srishti karmani tu tena niyujyamanaha tvatpada bhakti rasika jagruhur navani. Doesn't tell here in Narayaneeyam, but I'll explain that one more thing that happens. So once he creates his frameworks, then he says, you know what, this is important for souls to exist. But he feels like I'm actually creating something which is misleading. So he also has to create a solution for it, right? So how do you get over this illusion that you have a body which has, which has got a birth, which has got a death, and you are independent and you have this identity? How do you get over it? So he also creates the solutions, which is the philosophy of the Sankhya philosophy, which of course Kapila later on conveys to Devahuti. He creates the yoga, the Ashtanga yoga, path of meditation, and how do you get, what do you call, how do you go through the process of meditation so you finally attain, the liberation or merging with the Lord. So he has to create all that, the austerities, tapas that needs to happen. So he creates all of that also, which are the solutions to the problems that he is going to create for beings to exist, right? That's first happens. Then the first set of beings which are created are 4 people. He creates 4 great sages: Sanaka, Sananda, Sanatana, and Sanat Kumara. So he creates these 4 first. So then they all come. So each of them come from, different things. So these Sanaka, Sanata, Sanat Kumara all come from the mind of Brahma, right? So because it's just Brahma right now, so from his mind, he creates these 4 people, these 4 beings, right? And he addresses them. And now, from now on, right, I loosely use the word son and daughter. Okay, that doesn't mean they are the sons of Brahma. Because they came from the mind of Brahma, they are loosely referred to as the sons of Brahma, right? So Brahma tells them that, look, I have to create this entire universe, beings and everything in this universe. I need help. So I want you 4 to go do my duties, right? That's how he first starts them. So they all first go and do meditation. Brahma gives them advice of how to meditate. And Sanaka, Sananda, Sanatana, Sanat Kumara go do meditation. They come back after the meditation and then say that we cannot follow your instructions, right? And which is, you're not supposed to do that, right? You're talking to Brahma and you're telling him, I'm not going to follow. The only exception here is they are saying they are allowed to do that because their alternative is they're saying, we want to completely devote ourselves to the Supreme Lord. We meditated, we connected with him, and we don't want to do anything. All we want to do is always be praying to the Lord. So they were exempted because of that. Otherwise, otherwise they can't refuse in this case. But that's why they come back and say that we don't want to do anything. All we want to do is just completely be dedicated to the Lord all the time. That's why they end up being the same 5-year-old kind of age, right? They are always young beings. They never get old because all they are doing is they're always dedicated to Narayana, right? Those are the first 4 who come. So Tavat Sasarja Manasa Sanakam Sanandam, Bhuyaha, put is Bhuyas Sanatana Munim cha Sanat Kumaram Te Srishti Karmani Tutena Niyujyamanaha, put a Visarga there, Next line is goes away. Twat Pada Bhakti Rasika Jagruhur Navanim. Tavat sasarja manasa sanakam sanandham bhuyas sanatana munim na chasanat kumaram te srishti karmani tu tena niyujyamanaha tvatpada bhakti rasika jagruhur navanim.
तावत् ससर्ज मनसा सनकं सनन्दं भूयः सनातनमुनिं च सनत्कुमारं ते सृष्टिकर्मणि तु तेन नियुज्यमानाः त्वत्पादभक्तिरसिका जगृहुर्नवाणीं तावत् ससर्ज मनसा सनकं सनन्दं भूयः सनातनमुनिं च सनत्कुमारं ते सृष्टिकर्मणि तु तेन नियुज्यमानाः त्वत्पाद भक्ति रसिका जगृहर्नवाणीं
तावत् ससर्ज मनसा सनकं सनन्दं भूयः सनातनमुनिं च सनत्कुमारं ते सृष्टिकर्मणि तु तेन नियुज्यमानाः त्वत्पादभक्तिरसिका जगृहुर्नवाणीं तावत् ससर्ज मनसा सनकं सनन्दं भूयः सनातनमुनिं च सनत्कुमारं ते सृष्टिकर्मणि तु तेन नियुज्यमानाः त्वत्पादभक्तिरसिका जगृहुर्नवाणिम्.
Vanim, and last word.
Vani, sorry.
Stanza 4. तावत् प्रकोपमुदितं प्रतिरुन्धते उस्य भ्रूमत्यतो जनिमृढो भवदेकदेशः नामानि ते कुरु पदानि च हाभिरिञ्चेत् यादौ रुरोध किल तेन स रुद्रनामा. So Brahma, of course, he's not happy because he creates these four beings from his mind, who is supposed to continue the process of creation, but he accepts it again, like I said, only because they want to be on the path of spiritual advancement and always be dedicated to the Lord. So Brahma says that's okay. But of course, Brahma has a job to do, right? He has to advance creation. So he has this frustration which is brewing up within him. And then between his bhruvod madhye, between his eyebrows, because of the frustration and the anger, of course, Brahma cannot get angry. So it's not truly anger. It is a frustration because he wants to do something. Comes another being. So this being is called as a mrida, right? So this mrida, who comes, is a combination of blue and red color. Blue, which is talking about ignorance. Red, which is talking about passion. So this, out of the frustration between his eyes, between his eyebrows, comes this being called as a mrida. So this mrida comes and says, okay, you are the Lord of the universe, because he's looking at Brahma. He says, tell me, what am I supposed to do, right? And it cries, asking, what should I do? So when you're saying you're crying for help, similarly, this being is crying and saying, okay, I'm here to help you, but you need to give me something to do, right? What can I do? So because it cried, it is called as a Rudra. So that is how the 11 Rudras are born. The 11 is going to come later, but that is how the Rudra is born, because it's coming from between the eyebrows of Brahma because of the frustration and the anger that Brahma has to get on the process of creation. So, tavat prakopa muditam prati rundhatosya, put a plus, bhrumad yato jani, that's one word, bhrumad yato jani mrido bhavadeka deshaha. Says that is also one of your incarnation, O Lord, because at the end of the day, Brahma came from the Lord, and this mrida is also coming from between Brahma's eyebrows. So this is as good as your partial incarnation. Namani me kuru padani cha ha virinche is there. Put a plus and then join the next line together. So virinche tiyadav ruroda kila tena sa rudranama. तावत् प्रकोपमुदितं प्रतिरुन्धथोऽस्य भ्रूमत्यतो जनिमृडो भवदेकदेशः नामानि मे कुरु पदानि च हाभिरिञ्चेत् यादौ रुरोध किल तेन स रुद्रनामा.
तावत् प्रकोपमुदितं प्रतिरुन्धतोऽस्य भ्रूमध्यतो जनिमृडो भवदेकदेशः नामानि मे कुरु पदानि च हाविरिञ्चेत्यादौ रुरोध किल तेन स रुद्रनामा. तावत् प्रकोपमुदितं प्रतिरुन्धतोऽस्य भ्रूमध्यतो जनिमृडो भवदेकदेशः नामानि मे कुरु पदानि च हाविरिञ्चेत्यादौ रुरोध किल तेन स रुद्रनामा.
तावत् प्रकोपमुदितं प्रतिरुन्धतोऽस्य भ्रूमत्यतो जनिमृडो भवदेकदेशः नामानि मे कुरु पदानि च हाविरिञ्चेत्यादौ रुरोध किल तेन स रुद्रनामा. तावत् प्रकोपमुदितं प्रतिरुन्धतोऽस्य भ्रूमत्यतो जनिमृडो भवदेकदेशः नामानि मे गुरु पदानि च विरिञ्चेत्यादौ रुरोध किल तेन स रुद्रनामा.
एकादशाह्वयतया च विभिन्न रूपं रुद्रं विधाय दयिता वनिताश्च दत्त्वा तावन्त्यदत्त च पदानि भवत् प्रणुन्नः प्राह प्रजाभिरचनाय च सादरं तम्. So Brahma then tells this Mrida or this Rudra that there are going to be 11 Rudras who are going to be there, and to help you create, there are also going to be 11 Rudranis, right, although the concept of male, female is not quite yet here. That's only going to come later. But he says there are going to be 11 Rudranis who are going to assist you with this creation. And he says, for you, 11 Rudras, I have 11 different abodes. I have 11 different regions or places which I have identified where you all can go and then engage in the process of creation, right? So he gives them the instructions of how to do, and then he gets them going. Eka dashahvayataya. It's a half ha there. Dashahvayataya cha vibhinna rupam rudram, comma, rudram vidhaya dayita vanitascha datva tavantya datta cha padani bhavat pranunnaha, comma, praha praja virachanaya cha sadaram tam. Ekadashahvayataya cha vibhinna rupam rudram vidhaya dayita vanitascha datva tavantya datta cha padani bhavat pranunnaha praha praja virachanaya cha sadaram tam.
एकादशाह्वयतया च विभिन्नरूपं रुद्रं विधाय दयिता वनिताश्च दत्त्वा तावन्त्यदत्त च पदानि भवत्प्रणुन्नः प्राह प्रजा विरचनाय च सादरं तम् एकादशाह्वयतया च विभिन्नरूपं रुद्रं विधाय दयिता वनिताश्च दत्त्वा तावन्त्यदत्त च पदानि भवत्प्रणुन्नः प्राह प्रजा विरचनाय च सादरं तम्
एकादशाह्वयतया च विभिन्नरूपं रुद्रं विधाय दयिता वनिताश्च दत्त्वा तावन्त्यदत्त च पदानि भवत्प्रणुन्नः प्राह प्रजा विरचनाय च सादरं तम् एकादशाह्वयता च विभिन्नरूपं रुद्रं विधाय दयिता वनिताश्च दत्त्वा तावन्त्यदत्त च पदानि भवत्प्रणुन्नः प्राह प्रजा विरचनाय च सादरं तम्.
Meaning on the first line, first word, ekadashahvayataya.
Ekadashahvayataya.
Yeah. Ekadasha is 11. So ekadashahvayataya. Stanza 6. Rudra bisrishta bhayada kriti rudra sanga sampuryamana bhuvana traya bhita chetaha mama pracha sujata paschara mangalayet yachashtatam kamala bhur-bhavadiritatma. So these 11 Rudras and Rudranis, they start the process of creation. So because they themselves have also come from between the eyebrows out of the frustration and anger that Brahma had, and they were also very fearful in looking. So the beings which were getting created by these Rudras and Rudranis were also extremely fearful in nature, right? So they had a lot of anger, and they went about destroying everything. So when they were born itself, they started going and destroying things. That was kind of the attitude that they had in themselves. So Brahma then figured out that, you know what, I want them to go and, you know, do creation. But these beings who are coming are so terrifying that they're going about destroying the entire world. So Brahma then calls all those 11 Rudras and say, Mama Praja, you all please stop this process that you are all doing. He says, this is not the way to be doing it, because you are actually going and, you know, causing an adverse effect in what you're trying to do. He says, I want you all to go back and then go and meditate, right? So Kamala Bhur-Bhavat, with this tapaschara, go and meditate, because that is the only way you will then get the right direction and the right blessings, right? So with this, Brahma tells them, you don't have to do anything. You please stop it and go back to meditating. Rudra Bisrishta Bhayadakriti Rudra Sangha, and then put a plus. Sampurya Mana Bhuvana Traya Bhita Chetaha. Bhuvana Traya, and all the three worlds, they create very, you know, beings which were very frightening. Ma Prajaha, put the is Prajas, Srija Tapaschara Mangalaye, put a plus there, Mangalaye Tyachashta Tam Kamala Bhur Bhavadiritatma. So those two lines are also together. 1 and 2 together, 3 and 4 together. Rudrabhisrishta bhayadakriti rudra sanga sampuryamana bhuvanatraya bhita chetaha mama praja sujata paschara mangalayet yachashtatam kamala bhurbhavadiritatma.
रुद्राभिसृष्टभयदाकृति रुद्रसङ्गः सम्पूर्यमान भुवनत्रयभीतचेताः मामा प्रजा सृजत पश्चरमङ्गलायेत्याचष्टतं कमलभूर्भवदीरितात्मा रुद्राभिसृष्टभयदाकृति रुद्रसङ्गः सम्पूर्यमान भुवनत्रयभीतचेताः मामा प्रजा सृजत पश्चरमङ्गलायेत्याचष्टतं कमलभूर्भवदीरितात्मा
रुद्रापि सृष्टभयदाकृतिरुद्रसङ्गः सम्पूर्यमाण भुवनत्रयभीतचेताः मामा प्रजासृजत पश्चरमङ्गलायेत्याचष्टतं कमलभूर्भवदीरितात्मा रुद्रापि सृष्टभयदाकृतिरुद्रसङ्गः सम्पूर्यमाण भुवनत्रयभीतचेताः मामा प्रजासृजत पश्चरमङ्गलायेत्याचष्टतं कमलभूर्भवदीरितात्मा.
Answer 7. Tasya tasargarasigasya marichiratrihi tatrangirah kratumunif pulah pulastyah angada jayata bhriguscha vasishtha dakshau srinaradascha bhagavan bhavadangridasaha. So now Brahma then, he first creates, he's also struggling, right? He's kind of has to figure out what to do next, because he created Sanaka, Sananda. They said, we are going to be devoted to the Lord. Then he creates the Rudra, the Mrida. Even the Mrida also is not working out. So now he actually goes and creates several people or beings. I won't say people. And these beings, superior beings, all come from different parts of Brahma. Okay. So the various names listed here, which you can very clearly follow as you're looking at the words here. One is Marichi. So Marichir Atrihi, which is Marichihi Atrihi. So Marichi Atri. Tatra Angiraha. So Angiras, Angiraha. Kratumuni, Pulaha, Pulastyaha. And then Bhrigu, Vasishtha, Daksha. And then finally Sri Narada. Right? These are the 10 beings who then come out of Brahma from the various body parts of Brahma. That list is there separately, but I think the main one here is the one who is born from the consciousness or the thought of Brahma is Sri Narada. So he is the most superior being. And there is a very beautiful story in Bhagavatam where Narada actually goes and explains how he became the Narada. One other meaning of Narada is the one who delivers the Lord to you. That is the meaning of Narada, right? So he is essentially like the brand ambassador, right? So anywhere you go, because even if you see in movies where they make fun of Narada also, he's always saying Narayana, Narayana, right? So he's always propagating the name of the Lord, and all over through all these stories, even that we have seen, he's always there. His only duty is to make sure people are more devoted to the Lord, and he helps deliver the Lord to you. So that is the meaning of his name. So this Sri Narada in Bhagavatam, there's a story about how there's a small boy who was born to a mother. He did not have a father. And, in the Chaturmasyam, when the sages are all going from places to places, right? They all stay in one place. They don't move at the time during the rain, right? And then they're all working there. So in his previous birth, not in this birth, in his previous birth, Narada's mother was an ordinary maid servant or something like that. She was serving those sadhus in the Chaturmasyam. So Narada was a very small boy. So what he used to do was he also used to go and help them. And then by being with them for about 4 months, he got so hooked to it because he was with the right people and also with the right intentions. So then he got into the mode of spirituality in that Janmam. So he talks about how that whole Janmam he devoted. And then when the opportunity came and they asked him, what do you want to be in your next Janmam? He said, I want to be a messenger of the Lord. So that's how he's then born as Narada in this Brahma's day, right? Anyway, so these are the 10 beings who then come out of Brahma here. With last one being Narada, who is obviously devoted to your feet. Bhavadangri Dasaha. Tasyata Sarga Rasikasya Marichiratrihi. Put a Visarga there in comma. Next line is goes away. Tatrangiraha is there, put a ih sound. Kratumunihi, put a f. Pulahaha, put a f again. Pulahaf, pulastyaha. Angada jayata bhriguscha vasishtha dakshau, comma. Shri Naradascha Bhagavan Bhavadangri Dasaha. Tasya tasargarasikasya marichiratrihi tatrangirah kratumunih pulahaf pulastyah angada jayata bhriguscha vasishta dakshau Srinaradascha Bhagavan Bhavadangri Dasaha.
तस्याथ सर्गरसिकस्य मरीचिरत्रिः तत्राङ्गिराः क्रतुमुनिः पुलस्त्यः अङ्गादजायत भृगुश्च वसिष्ठदक्षौ श्रीनारदश्च भगवान् भवदङ्घ्रिदासः तस्याथ सर्गरसिकस्य मरीचिरत्रिः तत्राङ्गिराः क्रतुमुनिः पुलस्त्यः अंगादजायत भृगुश्च वसिष्ठदक्षौ श्रीनारदश्च भगवान् भवदङ्घ्रिदासः
तस्यादसर्गरसिकस्य मरीचिरद्रिः तत्राङ्गिराः क्रतुमुनिः पुलस्त्यः अङ्गादजायत भृगुश्च वसिष्ठदक्षौ श्रीनारदश्च भगवन् भवदङ्घ्रिदासः तस्यादसर्गरसिकस्य मरीचिरद्रिः तत्राङ्गिराः क्रतुमुनिः पुलस्त्यः अङ्गादजायत भृगुश्च वसिष्ठदक्षौ श्रीनारदश्च भगवन् भवदङ्घ्रिदासः.
Answer 8. Dharmadikanavisujannata kardamam cha vani vidhaya vidirangaj sankulo bhut twadbhoditaiः sanaka daksha mukaisthanujaihi udbhoditascha viraраmatamo vimunchan. So next, Brahma then creates Dharmadeva. So the 10 beings got created. Then Dharmadeva comes as 11. Then sage Kardama. So if you remember Kardama, he married Devahuti, to whom Kapila was born. That Kardama, right? So Kardama is then created. So that Kardama comes in the shadow of Brahma. So now there's another little bit it'll be a little controversial, but I'll just say what is there. So Brahma then creates Vak, right? Creates Saraswati, who then comes from his own body, right? From body of Brahma. Now there is one literal meaning, and then there is a potential meaning which is also given. So the literal meaning is, it says Brahma then gets attracted to Saraswati, who's there, right? So then his other children, Marichi, Atri, everybody, then go and tell Brahma, how can you get attracted to somebody who's come out of you, right? So that is not right, and you should enlighten yourselves. You are way beyond that. You should focus on the Supreme Lord, and they go advise Brahma on that. That is one way of looking at it. The second way of looking at it, which is also explained, is the Brahma is kind of like the universal soul, right? He's a universal consciousness from whom every other being is coming. And this Vani or Saraswati who's coming here is referring to the portion of the Vedas which are focused on rituals or the acts of doing certain things. So this is to say that, oh Brahma, like anybody who's coming, you cannot be attached to the act of doing things. You have to focus one level higher than that on the purpose of the Vedas, which is not to give material benefits or the actions, but eventually to get you closer to the God. So that is the other interpretation that is given. But either way, so all of this happens. Brahma then, gets attracted to this Vani, Saraswati, and then the children go and say, you cannot do that. You have to go one level above and be much more, focused on the Lord. So, Minu, you want to say something? Oh, Minu, freeze it.
So Saraswati is the first female who came out of Brahma.
It doesn't tell. It doesn't tell us explicitly.
Saraswati is the first.
it doesn't explicitly say female Cholita here, right? That's where I'll but it does say that, he gets attracted, because later on in the last stanza, it says how he creates a male and a female, which comes later. So I won't comment on this because I don't know the right answer to that. But it doesn't explicitly say that all these are males, all these are females, right? It doesn't say that, because they're all gods, goddess. So they don't separate it out that way. Only when the first Manu comes, then they separate it out, saying it's male and a female. That's why I said beings and not even humans, right? Because these are gods and things like that. So it just says all these people came from the various parts of Brahma. One Kardama came from the shadow of Brahma. Now, how do we say, how do you come from the shadow of Brahma? Right? Don't know that answer, right? But that's how it is given, right? That all of them came from the various parts of Brahma. And again, even the words, like I said, sons are very loosely referred here, because like I said, it cannot be sons. You cannot literally take it that way. But it says, Tanu Jaihi, your children came and told you. That's what it says, right? So, Dharma Dikan Abhisrujannata Kardamamcha, comma, Vani Vidhaya Vidirangaja Sankulobhut Tvat Bhoditais Sanaka Daksha Mukhais Tanujaihi. Put a visarga and comma there. Next line, the ru becomes a u. Udbhoditascha Virarama Tamo Vimunchan. Dharmadikana Bisrujannada Kardamamcha Vani Vidhaya Vidirangaja Sankulo Bhut Twadbhoditais Sanaka Daksha Mukhais Tanujaihi Udbhoditascha Virarama Tamo Vimunchan.
Dharmadikānabhisrujannatha kardamancha Vani Vidhaya Vidirangaja Sankulo Bhut Twadboditai Sanakadakshamukaistanujaihi Udboditascha Viraramatamo Vimunchan. Dharmadikānabhisrujannatha kardamamcha Vani Vidhaya Vidirangaja Sankulo Bhut Twadboditai Sanakadakshamukaistanujaihi Udboditascha Viraramatamo Vimunchan.
Dharmadikan abhisrujannata kardamam chavanim vidaya vidirangaja sankulodbhut twadbodidai sanakadakshamukais tanujaihi udbodidadascha viraramadamo vimunchan.
The first line, the Kardamamcha, there is a comma, okay?
Huh?
The first line after Kardamamcha, there is a comma there. I think you said it together.
Okay. Oh. Dharmadikan abhisrujannata kardamamcha Vani Vidaya Vidirangaja Sankulodbhut Twadbodidais Sanaka Dakshamukais Tanujaihi Udbodidascha Viraramadamo Vimunchan.
That's a 9. Vedan Purana Nivahanapi Sarva Vidyaha Kurvan Nijanana Gana Chaturana Nosau Putreshu Teshu Vinidhaya Sasarga Vridhyam Aprapnuvam Stava Padam Bhujamashrito Bhute. So now all these other beings, quote unquote, children who have come out of Brahma. So they were all, intent in moving things forward. So Brahma has to impart the knowledge to them. So whatever knowledge Brahma has got, he has to impart to them, right? So then Brahma, that's when he comes in. It says from the mouth of Brahma emanates all the Vedas and the Puranas, because Brahma can look into the future, he can look into the past, he can look into everything. So all of these things come. Essentially what it means is imparting the knowledge to all of his children, so they all can go about. So everything, right? Even it's very interesting that even Srimad Bhagavatam, Brahma told Narada, and then Narada then tells Vedavyasa, then Vedavyasa tells Shukha Brahmam. So it all comes, and where did Brahma get? He got it directly from the Lord. as to what is going to be happen and what is the supreme and everything. So Brahma has all this treasure trove of knowledge, right? So he has to impart that knowledge to all of his children so they can then go and spread it. So all of these, the rituals and the Vedas, Puranas, all of this come from Brahma, which he imparts to his children. It's another last one says, but again, even these children or these beings who came out, they were not able to advance creation. So Brahma is again struggling. So he again resorts to Padam Ambujam Ashrita both. He again resorts to your lotus feet. Vedan Purana Nivahanapi Sarva Vidyaha, Kurvan Nijanana Ganach, each sound Ganach, Chaturana no Sau, Putreshu Teshu Vinidaya Sa Sarga Vriddhim, put a im at the end of that line, comma. Next line, the ma becomes a. Aprapnuvams tava padambhujam ashrito bhut. Vedan Purana Nivahanapi Sarva Vidyaha Kurvan Nijanana Gana Chaturana no Sau Putreshu Teshu Vinidaya Sasarga Vriddhim Aprapnuvams tava padambhujam ashrito bhut.
Vedan Purana Nivahanapi Sarva Vidyaha Kurvan Nijanana Gana Chaturana no Sau Putreshu Teshu Vinidhaya Sasarga Vriddhim Aprapnuvam Stava Vadambujamashito Bhut. Vedan Purana Nivahanapi Sarva Vidyaha Kurvan Nijanana Gana Chaturana no Sau Putreshu Teshu Vinidhaya Sasarga Vriddhim Aprapnuvam Stava Padambujamashito Bhut.
Vedan Purana Nivahanapi Sarva Vidyaha Kurvan Nijanana Ganacha Chaturana so Putreshu Devdim Aprapnuvam Stava Padambuja Mashrito Bhut. Vedan Purana Nivahanapi Sarva Vidyaha Kurvan Nijanana Gana Chaturana no Sau Putreshu Teshu Vinidaya Sadga Vriddhim Aprapnuvam Stava Padambujamashhrito Bhut.
That's it. Janan Nupayamata Dehamajo Vibhajya Stri Pumsabhavam Abhajan Manutadvadhubhyam Tabhyam Chamanushakulani Vibhardayam Stvam Govinda Maruta Puresha Nirundhirogan. So because of Brahma not wanting to have the sense of feelings and all of that, so what Brahma does is he creates another body out of him. So essentially, which means that another form of energy which comes from Brahma itself, and that from that Brahma, another form of Brahma comes, it splits into two forms come up. One of them is the Manu, which is the first Manu, which is Swayambhuva Manu, and then other is a female form of Brahma, which is called as Shatarupa. So this Swayambhuva Manu and Shatarupa are the ones who actually get married, and the Brahma does this so that they both can then begin the process of proper creation of multiplying the population of the universe, essentially, right? So those are the first kind of what it defines as male female forms which are coming out of Brahma, which is Swayambhuva Manu and Shatarupa. Now if you remember the Swayambhuva Manu, they have 5 children. One of them is Uttanapada Nripater Manunandanasya Dhruva Charitra. That's one of the children of Manu is Uttanapada. Then the other child of Swayambhuva Manu and Shatarupa is Devahuti, who then marries Kardama, to who Kapila is born, and Kapilopakyanam comes. So that's why I was saying you can't quite say a son-daughter, because Kapila, Swayambhuva, this Shatarupa, to Manu and Shatarupa is born Devahuti, right? But then the Devahuti then also marries the other person who's coming out of Brahma. So it's like kind of telling I'm marrying my dad's brother, right? Which doesn't make sense. So you can't quite take it literally a son, daughter, and all of that stuff. But these are various people who are coming out of Brahma. So anyway, so Manu, the first Manu is coming, who is then becomes the, like I spoke about, the one Kalpa of Brahma is divided into 14 Manus, right? So this is the first Manu that is coming out, which is Swayambhuva Manu. So with that, the process of creation continues. So Lord of Guruvaya, please eradicate my ailments. Janan Nupaya Mata Deha.
So technically, Swayambhuva Manu and Shatarupa, or the Adam and Eve.
You can think of it that way because they are the first officially defined as male and female concept. Another Minadi, the people who came before, when you said are they female, probably I don't know the answer, but this is where it first says that Brahma doesn't want to engage in that act of creation in that way. So what he does is he creates another form. From that form of his is create another body or another form from which two beings come, one being male, one being female, who can engage in the process of creation. So that's how it explains it. Janan Nupaya Mata Deha Majo Vibhajya, Stri Pumsa Bhavama Bhajan Manu Tat Vadhubhyam Tabhyam Cha Manusha Kulani Bivardayamstvam, Govinda Maruta Puresha Nirundi Rogan. Janan Nupaya Mata Deha Majo Vibhajya Stri Pumsa Bhavama Bhajan Manu Tat Vadhubhyam Tabhyam cha manusha kulani bivardayam stvam Govinda Maruta Puresha Nirundi Rogan.
जानन्नुपायमथ देहमजो विभज्य स्त्रीपुंसभावमभजन्मनु तद्वधूभ्यां ताभ्यां च मानुषकुलानि विवर्धयं स्वं गोविन्दमारुतपुरेश निरुन्धिरोगान् जानन्नुपायमथ देहमजो विभज्य स्त्रीपुंसभावमभजन्मनु तद्वधूभ्यां ताभ्यां च मानुषकुलानि विवर्धयं स्वं गोविन्दमारुतपुरेश निरुन्धिरोगान्
Janannupayamadadehamajjo vibhajya stripumsabhavam manutattvadubhyam tabhyam cha manushakulani vivardhayam stvam Govindamarutapuresha niruntirogan Janannupayamadadehamajjo vibhajya Stripum sabhavama bhajan manutattvadubhyam Tabhyam cha manushakulani vivardhayam swam Govindamaruta-puresha nirundirogan.
Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namaha. Okay, end the class here. Chandranandhavabodhatmakamanupamitam kaladeshavadebhyam nirmuktam nityamuktam nigamashatasahasrena nirbhasyamanam aspashtam drishtamatre punarurupurusharthatmakam brahmatattvam tattavadbhadi sakshat gurupavanapure hanta bhagyam janana kahena vacha manasendriyerva buddhyatmana va prakrute swabhavat karomi yatyat sakalam parasmai narayanahyeti samarpayami.
Thank you, Rajesh. Get some sleep.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
Happy
Rajesh.
Thanksgiving, everyone.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.